And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Girls indeed want to have fun. We're going to hear a lot about this with my next guest, who's Ashley Logan, a leadership coach, facilitator, and author of Invisible Threads. This is a heartfelt and witty look at the friendships that carry us through life's biggest transitions, and she's here to talk about the power of connection and why it matters now more than ever. Ashley, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining me here in studio. Fascinating book. I think it's so relevant for all generations. Love the title, Invisible Threads. Now, before we dive into the power of friendship, tell us the story behind your book and what inspired you to write it and why now?
Sure. So at the start of the new year, I asked my three daughters to choose a passion project. And we were really looking to inspire them to tap into their creative side, a real effort to keep them off screens. And I then knew that I had to lead by example. So I began journaling nightly. I was writing about all the things that I was grateful for. I started to notice that the same theme kept coming up every time I was journaling, and that was the theme of connection. So what started originally as a personal reflection quickly became something much deeper, and I began to realize how essential my female friendships are in my life, especially as I've aged and have experienced some big kind of sticky life transitions. Mm-hmm. So Invisible Threads is really about naming those relationships, the ones that quietly hold everything together in a time when so many people are stretched thin, maybe feeling isolated, overlooked, especially in this sandwich generation. So I really wanted to shine a light on the power of connection and the women who show up when we really need them the most.
You know, it's interesting you say that, and we were talking off air. You know, mm-hmm. Just your kids, three wonderful daughters, all involved. You're chauffeuring around all over the place. Now with social media and things advancing and going so quickly, mm-hmm. The power of relationships and having to go to person or persons become even more important. Very timely for your book. Now, you talk about the different types of friendships in your book, comparing them to different kinds of underwear. Well, I find a clever and unique take on it. Now, which type do you think is most essential as we get older, especially when juggling caregiving, aging parents, and changing family dynamics?
Yes, so I did use a cheeky little underwear analogy. My book really highlights 8 different types of friendships. And I use that analogy because I found that it really does represent friendship and connection. So, and maybe not at first glance, but there are so many different ways that you can view friendship, and different friends mean different things to you. And so in your underwear drawer of friendships, each underwear really does give you something different, and you value those different friendships in different ways. So I think I've really come to appreciate what I call the supportive brief friend. She is not necessarily glamorous, but she's essential. And she's the one quietly holding you up when life feels stretched very thin. A lot of us know what it's like to be caught in the middle. Some of us are raising teenagers on one end. Some of us are caring for an aging or sick parent on the other. And it's exhausting, and it's exhausting both emotionally and physically. And it can feel really isolating. So the supportive brief friend just gets it. She's the one who brings you maybe soup when you need it, without being asked. I have a friend that did that just recently, brought over this amazing soup and just was on my doorstep. And that's the kind of thing that that's that supportive brief friend. She checks in late at night when the house is maybe quiet and that worry starts to creep in and you spiral and you start thinking about all the worst things. And she doesn't necessarily need that whole backstory. This friend is the one that shows up with calm, judgment-free support. And they aren't flashy friendships necessarily. They're the quiet ones that keep you going. And what I find really special about this type of friendship is when you're pouring so much of yourself into caring for others, it's really a gift to have someone pouring a little bit back into you, and that's the supportive brief friend.
I love that analogy, you know, and we could only talk about one. You said, how many underwears are there in the book?
There were 8 types.
8 types. All right. That was just one of them, but very appropriate, supportive brief. I love that. Now, listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Delvecchio here, and I'm talking about the importance of quality relationships and the power of connection, why it matters now more than ever. And I'm with the author of Invisible Threads, Ashley Logan. Now, Ashley, as we age, we often look back reflecting on many things, including our friendships, some that have faded and others that have deepened. And what advice do you give in the book for keeping those meaningful connections strong, even when life gets busy or hard?
Yeah, and I think the key word is life does get busy. Busy is the key word there. And one thing that I've learned is that friendship doesn't have to be constant to be consistent. So we all go through seasons, some where we're really connected and then others where we're stretched really thin and there's a lot going on. You mentioned me being a chauffeur. That is my number one title right now. But those small moments of effort really, really matters. So a quick text, a shared memory, a check-in with someone just because you were thinking of them. It's easy to go a day, a week, a month without checking in. So it's those purposeful moments. And I think that's how you keep the thread alive. In my book, I encourage people to reach out. And I think that that's really that extra effort, the make the call, send the message, visit your friend, and don't wait for that perfect moment. There will never be a perfect moment. And also don't wait by your phone. Or wait to be asked. I suggest reaching out to a friend a week. Try that. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation, just a little nudge of connection. And I think that because over time, those gestures really create something real. It's a safety net that catches you when life does get hard, and making those connections prepares you for that.
Very good words of advice, and I love just reaching out. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be long. Just they know that you're thinking of you, and means so much. Now, many listeners here on CJD have gone through significant life transitions, Ashley, as you're aware, like losing a spouse or retiring from a long career. What role do friendships play in helping women, especially widows, navigate these emotional shifts and rebuild a sense of connection and identity?
Yeah, so friendship does become absolutely vital in those deep transitions, especially after the loss of a spouse. I was able to see this firsthand with my mom. She and my dad were absolutely best friends, and they did everything as a couple. Most of their social world revolved around being part of a pair. And then when he died, she wasn't just grieving the person, she was also grieving the identity that came with being part of them. And she's had to slowly reinvent what it means to show up as her. So not as someone's wife, but as a friend in her own right to others. So she's learning how to initiate plans instead of waiting for them to happen, and how to build friendships that stand on their own. And it's not easy. But that process of being seen and supported and redefined by your friendships can really be healing. And I think she's learning that. And it reminds us that even when life changes, we still get to write the next chapter.
Great words of advice. And we are all going to go through these life transitions, Ashley. And you have to reinvent yourself, and you can't, it's tough, right? And can't be afraid. We have about 30 seconds. I want to get in one more quick question. I'm talking with author of Invisible Threads, Ashley Logan, about the power and importance of relationships. And very quickly, why do you think connection, especially with close friends, becomes even more important as we age?
I think friendships offer us a mirror and a lifeline. And it's something that I explore in this book, the idea that no one friend can be everything to you. So I think that needs to be okay for people.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for the quick answer. All right. Well, thank you again, Ashley. Great words of advice. Very interesting book, Invisible Threads. How can our listeners get a hold of it?
It is available on Amazon. It's in Kindle format as well as paperback. And it's a cute little pocketbook. So it's quite small. And you can find it on Amazon.
Great, and good for you. But, talk about taking a big jump into the deep end, and you've had to change as well along the way with 3 wonderful daughters, and you've got a book out of it, and you worked. I know you put a lot of time and effort in that, and great words of advice. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, that's Ashley Logan, author of Invisible Threads, celebrating the supportive power of female friendships.